Well, with us now are the writers Christopher Hitchens and Andrew Sullivan, and Reihan Salam, a young Republican figure who wants his party to focus on policy instead of guns and religion. And we're joined from Atlanta by the rapper, writer and producer Chuck D. Andrew Sullivan, this professed end to an age of ideology, is that how you see it?
I think it is. Apart from overwhelming relief at just the end of this ghastly period, yes. I mean, we feel a generational shift. And the truth is, anybody under 40 doesn't view the 1960s as their iconic period. I mean, they're past that. They're beyond it. And then, you know, how are you really going to supposed to talk about culture wars when the entire global financial system is cratering?
You felt that was coming out of the speech today, did you?
Yes, I thought it was an extraordinary, austere, sober, don't get too excited kind of speech.
What are the issues that we're no longer going to be hearing about then in politics, Chris Hitchens?
Can I just take up your first point as well, Andrew and Jeremy? In a way, you could say it was the restoration of ideology. There's quite a big chunk of quite a short speech that says, why should we consider the market to be a fetish or infallible? I mean, it's a very long time since the American president has gone that far.
Equally
you feel more as if ideology is back.
He equally dismissed the alternative.
Yes, well, no one's prepared to, even people who want to say that they're Marxists aren't prepared to say that they're socialists. Take my own case. But that, I wouldn't say that was end of ideology. I'd say that was, it was when we thought we didn't need ideas, all we needed was the play of money and the free, uninterrupted laissez-faire. That's the irony.
But I
have to say that there was
two other people contributing to this discussion. You're going to have to hang on a minute or two. What's he got to do to? 46% of people didn't vote for him. What's he got to do to bring those people with him, Reihan Salam?
I think a lot of what we're seeing is a tonal shift. Yet the issues remain. For example, gay rights. Is this a culture wars issue or is this a fight for human rights? If you're looking at abortion, many pro-lifers view it in the exact same way. And I think that Obama has strong positions on both of these issues. And he has positions that are going to alienate, if not 46% of the country, certainly a large and vocal minority, sometimes a majority. So I think in that sense, the culture wars will continue, albeit in a different form.
Chuck D, when you heard that speech today, did you think some of these old cultural issues of cultural warfare in your country were dying or dead or irrelevant?
Well, I noticed that there was a shift that was taking place. I didn't isolate President Obama's speech just in what he said today. It was a continuum of a lot of things he said over the past year. So I respected that. As far as his speech today, I had looked at it as a citizens of the world address. And I really appreciated the fact that he was putting the kind of like the pressure on the other nations that instead of their leadership, the people are going to look at a leadership as being responsible as well as in his country. So I looked at this, and also to speak on that person that talked about the 60s, being less relevant. I think the 60s energy, especially coming from the certain demographic of black people or poor people, whatever, was necessary to fight through the 70s, 80s, and the 90s rhetoric. Now this is a new day. And I think Barack Obama being able to drop the badge of some of his blackness, you know damn well he's going to drop democratic, drops Marxism, and any other term that they want to attach to him.
He's talking about demographics there. There was a significant new demographic brought in the Obama campaign. I mean, young people were brought in. There was a different style of campaign. Does all of that make the old style of politics no longer feasible?
Yeah, we'll take the issues Reihan said, abortion and gay rights. Essentially, most people under 40 agree, actually. They don't like abortion, but they don't want to make it illegal. And they're basically over this whole gay issue. It's just the older groups and the fundamentalist Christian groups that are obsessed about it. And Obama basically is done with it. He has those positions. He's not that interested in it. He doesn't think they're that big. The big issues for him are not those issues. They are whether the Constitution can be restored, whether the fiscal insanity of the last 8 years can be reversed, and whether we can stop the planet burning up. And those are. And when you look at him and you look at this black man becoming president, the arc of history is 200, 300 years. It isn't 40 years. These smaller divides seem trivial in compared to the wound that was healed today. I mean, it's utterly trivial in the perspective of
Also, I say, I don't mean to cut you off, but in his speech, I just think that he challenged the notion of just nation differentials. I mean, in order for this to be one world and to go against global warming, that I think they're a high priority on his list, as well as handling some of the ills that are within the country. So, I mean, any leader in this century or this millennium that thinks they could just worry about their own little piece of earth and their own turf and its people is just short-sighted as far as the rest of the planet is concerned. And I think that message went out, is that it was a challenge to all human beings to try to be accountable and responsible, and I think that resonated.
He's almost post-nationalist in that way, and in the way some of those Andrew mentions too. But lest anyone misconstrue this, I think he put in a couple of paragraphs that were very well worth drawing attention to, saying, don't let anyone mistake this for weakness. We're not going to apologize to the Americans. If you use violence against us, you'll be sorry. We'll outlast you. We'll effectively outkill you. And we'll only shake your hand if you unclench your fist. It wasn't the soft power stuff that a lot of his softer-centered fans have been hoping.
It produces a very interesting possible new realignment in politics, because it raises the question of how on earth the Republican Party goes about redefining itself in these circumstances, Reihan Salam.
Well, I think that the Republican Party will have a very easy time if Barack Obama is defined as a kind of post-national cosmopolitan figure, and I think that he's going to be very careful not to let that happen, because I think that there's going to be a lot of tension and a lot of frustration and a lot of disappointment among Barack Obama's most ardent supporters. They have very, very high hopes for him. They believe that he embodies their kind of liberal aspirations, but in fact he's a very pragmatic politician who believes in process. The Republicans are the party of nationalism. They are a party that is deeply confused about policy matters, but they certainly are that, and that's something that is going to, allow them to come back quite possibly. And I think that, there are certainly limitations to that point of view, but I think that it's something that is deeply ingrained in America.
It was really the Democratic Party recapturing, that's what Obama has done, patriotism for the left, for the Democratic Party. And in fact, the appearance of a black man as President of the United States is a patriotic moment for everybody, right, left, everybody.
I think that's absolutely
I think it's a really striking characteristic of that crowd today, how intensely patriotic they were, how proud they were of being American, of whatever political complexion or indeed racial complexion.
Absolutely.
There was a moment in the primaries, in a Democratic primary, when people started chanting USA at Obama's rallies, and that's when the culture moved.
But also
that he's not going to see that. He is a patriot. He ended with Washington on the Delaware in the freezing cold.
Yeah,
and the implication, of course, about the restoration of this is that what we just saw the last 8 years wasn't real patriotism.
Well, I think
it was a kind of brittle machismo.
I think what it is
Here's American patriotism.